Welcome. Today I just wanted to show you two little tricks for releasing air dry clay from your molds. And the first way is by spraying a little bit of Windex into your mold before you press your clay into your mold. And with this particular mold, I'm doing two little bees that have little legs and antennae and, some delicate stuff. So I'm going to pop these into the freezer for like 15 minutes so they harden and they pop out more easily. And then the second method that I'm going to use for releasing the clay from molds is using some cornstarch in the bottom of your mold. So both the Windex and the cornstarch are considered surfactants, and they kind of help the clay from sticking to the bottom of the inside of the mold. And you can also see I'm spending a little bit of extra time really just trying to get it as flush as I can, not having a lot of leftover into the margins, because when these come out, I'm going to use them on a curved surface. So I want them to be still soft when I apply them instead of hardened. So in that case, I need the edges to be cleaned off, and it's hard. It's easier to do it in advance. So instead of trying to clean it later when you have this wet clay right next to these delicate legs and things. Okay, so here you can see my second application is pouncing some cornstarch into the bottom of these flower molds. And this works just really well. These are kind of sturdier, chunkier molds. They don't have the delicacies that the bumblebees use, so I'm fine just using the cornstarch for this one. But, I think it's always a good idea to just experiment on your own to see which things work for you. There's often more than just one answer for these kinds of situations. So I'm curious what you use as a surfactant for easy release on your molds. Let us know. Okay, so yes, it popped out easily, and you can see where there's leftover clay that's gone beyond the margins and needs to be cleaned off. So I'm just going to use a dry, soft brush. I'm, removing the cornstarch, and then I'm able to just kind of gently clean off that excess clay in this way. Sometimes you may have to use a tool to actually cut it off, but like I said, these are pretty hardy flowers, so I can use a little bit more pressure. Now, if I didn't have to apply these flowers while they were wet, because they're going to be on the inside of a curved plate, okay, so I need to apply them when they're wet. That's why I'm cleaning the margins off, right now while it's still wet. If they were going onto a flat surface and I could let the flowers dry, or if they dried and that was going to be my application. For example, I did a big job once where I had to apply a lot of these flowers onto a wall, and so I just mass produced them and then cleaned them, and then I actually adhered them to the wall from there. But so if that's the case, if they're able to dry flat, you can clean that the excess off the margins by sanding or scraping. And my favorite tool for that is a bird's beak paring knife, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But first, I'm going to show you. I just removed the bees from the freezer, and I let them stay in a little bit too long. I think it was closer to 30 minutes. So I had to let them set for a little while so they would thaw out. So 15 minutes seems to be a good a good time in the freezer just to get them hard enough that you can pop them out. But you see that there are margins on the outside that I'll have to clean off so I can, once they're soft enough, I can set them into this curved tray and just see how delicate this process is. While you have wet clay, it's easier to do when the clay is dry, but again, I need the clay to be cleaned off while the piece is still wet, so it will form to the inside of this plate. And I couldn't really just lay it in there and then blend those flat margins into the base of my plate because my plate has texture. Okay, so each project you do is going to have its own set of challenges, and there's always there's always problem solving with these kinds of things, and I just think that it's always good. Running into problems like this is okay because this is how we figure out how we do things and how we solve these problems, and then we can tell others what works for us. But don't ever be afraid to experiment. Try different things, and share what you've learned with other people. Okay, so here I'm just showing you I made an extra flower, and the other ones are all put together, right? And I'm gesturing because I'm actually talking on the other video. But okay, so how I like to trim it if the flower is dry is I like to use this bird's beak paring knife. Okay, it actually has a built-in sharpener on the side of the case there, and this is the way I do it. And of course, you have to be careful. It's a sharp knife, but it works very well for this, and it's kind of really a satisfying thing to do. So you just take your time, and I like to use this versus just sanding it all. I might have to sand it just a bit at the end just to kind of clarify and get things just the way that I want them. But I actually bought 2 of these at the same time. And I'm glad I have 2 of them. I don't know, in case I misplace one or something, because sometimes I'm on a big job and, things disappear or whatever. But so it's called a bird's beak paring knife. Okay, so you can see kind of how nice. It's small, manageable, because of its size, and it's pretty sharp. So there's another tip. Okay, thanks for listening. Have a great day.